Because the guy didn't share it with anybody. There were people around him. Come on, we've read the Bible. We've heard these New Testament things. We've heard the people that Jesus was dealing with. There were people in need, probably right in his front door. And he had amassed all of this stuff. Now this is produce. This is food. He's storing it up in his barns. There's no way he's going to consume it. It's going to rot. Probably 99.9% of it was going to rot. But he was okay with that because he'd worked hard for it. He'd earned it. He's the one who put in the sweat equity to get what he had. Well, good for him. That's fine. But you know what his other problem was? He took credit for it. This is produce. How much of it is your work and effort put into planting the seeds and cultivating and then harvesting? How much of it for the growth of these crops is really what the person does? What about the weather? I don't know about you, but I don't control the weather. The right conditions for the soil, all of these things, and the man did not count himself as blessed, and to say that I should share as others. And so God says to him in this parable, and so it is with those who store up treasures for themselves, but are not rich toward God. I think that's what he's saying. They're being rich toward God. It's not so much this one-way up and down relationship, but he's saying those who store all of these things but don't share it with those around them. Now, I know I'm in a peril for sounding like I'm telling everybody to, okay, you worked hard, blah, blah, blah. Now take your stuff and go out and give it away to everybody else. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying good for anybody who uses good sense and good judgment to be financially and fiscally responsible to save up and provide for themselves and their families. That's wonderful. But there does come a point when some people get to so much, whether it's financial or not. It could just mean, a friend brought over some groceries, they pulled some stuff out of their garden and brought it over to your house, and you've got 50 ears of corn that you cannot possibly eat as a family. You don't have room in your freezer. You going to throw it away? Or are you going to find somebody who needs it? And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, the kind of stuff that I think that Jesus was talking about in this parable to the man. So now let's think of this man is the church. Not this church, that church, universal. Okay? The church has so much, not just financial stuff. The church has so many smart and knowledgeable people who have experience in life, who have gifts, who have talents, who have been blessed by God with all of these different things. We have just the sheer number of bodies in the church. Just look at the Protestant denominations throughout the United States and imagine if each of them put in just 1 hour a year of volunteer time. The things that they could do, the problems that could be solved, all of the things that could be eradicated here even just in our country alone. But unfortunately, they hold on to these things. They hold on to them. And they don't share because this is ours. We have our belief system right here, so we take care of our own. The heck with those people out there. But Jesus is warning against this in this passage. If we are the church, if we are what they call the body of Christ, the body has to have different parts, doesn't it? Okay? You've got all these different parts working together. I listened to a recent interview of a man named Joseph Bracken. He's a Jesuit priest and theologian. And he said that, make sure I get this right here because it's kind of a mouthful. He said that society is the result of intersubjectivity, which manifests itself in a form of objectivity. Okay, so let me translate that. I got to translate it for myself even. He's basically saying that there's all these little parts that are interworking, doing their job, so to speak, that affect and influence each other. And they all have to be working in harmony, okay? And whatever they do, the result of their actions creates this object known as society. But whatever society becomes is the result of what all parts are doing. So let me say it another way. We have our bodies, but in our bodies we have all of these systems. We have the cardiovascular system. We have the circulatory, right? We have the endocrine system. We have the respiratory system. We have the central nervous system. All of these systems that work together in our bodies. But do we ever take somebody, for example, who has a bad heart? Just a small part of the overall mass of the body. And somebody who has a bad heart, say, do we ever say that that person is in good health? Well, the other 94% of the organs are working just fine. So sure, why not? But we don't, do we? One bad organ, whether it's the kidney, the brain, the heart, whatever it may be, and we don't say that that person is in good health. We say that they're ailing and that they need help. And this is the way that society is, and I think that the church plays such a vital role in all of that as one small part, one small cog in the wheel, so to speak. Imagine what the world would look like if the church would start acting like the body of Christ. If the church would get engaged in the culture and the society around them, and being just a small part of the entire system would say, okay, we understand our role, and we're going to do it. And we're going to see the way by this much effort exerted is going to have an effect on the entire system. And so Jesus tells this man, what am I, a judge? Am I an arbiter? I'm not here to tell about who should get what riches and who shouldn't. I'm here to show you that you have a job to do. Take a look around you. You see all of these people in need. Now look at your barn, so full of stuff. You cannot use it. Just like the old cliche says, you can't take it with you. True, isn't it? But you can share it. Whatever it is we have, knowledge, talents, skills, experience, whatever these things may be, we don't have to go and give money to people. We can teach them how to make money, whatever the case may be. Just think of a world in which the church played its role, and what that world and what that society would look like, and imagine us as a central part of that. To me, that's a beautiful and very, very attainable vision. I wonder if it's any coincidence that there are so many churches out there that are shutting their doors, so many churches that are shutting down and dispersing their people to other churches just to have the same thing happen again and again and again. And then there's these other churches that are practicing social justice and that are out in the community doing what they're supposed to, and they're thriving. I wonder if it's any coincidence. And I wonder if you notice that this was the only time in a parable God spoke directly to somebody. In all of Jesus' parables, this was the only time that he had God speaking directly to somebody. And he told that somebody, you can't take it with you. You don't know when your end is going to come, and I guarantee you, if you don't practice the riches of God, then the end is coming soon for you. Somehow I don't think that this is just a coincidence. And somehow I don't think that we can read this and think that somehow God isn't sharing the message with the entire church. Let's show him how it's done. Amen.